We build our modern lives around a steady hum of logistics, but it only takes one missing link to bring a city to a halt. During a recent nationwide LPG strike in India, endless lines of empty cooking gas cylinders became a stark visual of a paralyzed system. The downstream effects of this supply chain failure cascaded in a matter of days. Families couldn't boil water or prepare meals. Even backup plans failed, as restaurants and street food vendors were forced to shutter their doors entirely without fuel. Inside one particular household, the stakes were immediate. Gauri, a young woman who had recently moved from her rural village to the city, watched her new family panic as their gas ran dry. By day 3, her infant daughter was crying from hunger, and her husband's frantic search for a refill across the city turned up nothing. Urban living provides a high degree of comfort, but it masks a deep vulnerability. When a household relies entirely on a centralized energy grid, a single point of failure leaves them entirely helpless. Gauri grew up understanding how to survive outside the grid. Her immediate instinct was to turn to a resource she knew well: raw cow dung. By shaping the material into cakes and drying them in the sun, she prepared a reliable, off-grid fuel source. But her mother-in-law reacted with absolute disgust. To her urban sensibilities, cow dung was dirty, impure, and entirely out of place in a modern home. To use this fuel meant cooking over a traditional clay stove with an open flame. The mother-in-law was so repulsed by the smoke and the perceived backwardness of the method that she threw the cooking pots to the ground, demanding the fuel be thrown out. People build strong cultural barriers around what they consider acceptable. Often, the aesthetic bias against traditional or rural survival methods is so intense that individuals would rather go hungry than compromise their modern identity. Gauri realized the obstacle was purely aesthetic. To feed her daughter, she had to isolate the energy from the smoke and the social stigma, extracting only the clean power hidden inside. Drawing on what she has learned in school, she started digging in the backyard while the family slept. She built a small waste completely out of sight. Gauri poured a thick slurry of water and dung into the pit, sealing it tightly. This triggers anaerobic digestion. Without oxygen, microorganisms break down the waste. As they consume it, they release methane gas, which rises and gets trapped in the dome. By applying basic biological engineering, a highly stigmatized material is physically transformed. The raw, messy waste stays buried, while pure, high-value energy is captured and ready to use. With the methane gas safely pressurized in the tank, Gauri ran a discrete plastic tube from the digester right into her kitchen, connecting it directly to her modern stove. When she turns the dial and strikes a match, the result is identical to commercial LPG. It produces a perfectly clean, smokeless, and completely odorless flame. Smelling fresh food, the mother-in-law rushed into the kitchen, initially furious. She assumed Gauri had brought the dirty, smoky cow dung back into her pristine house. But her anger faltered when she looked closely. Gauri's husband walked in and immediately recognized the engineering at play. He pointed out the clear, smokeless flame, leaving his mother with no logical argument against eating the food. The physical proof overcame her bias. When traditional knowledge is packaged in a modern interface, the cultural friction disappears. It provides the exact same utility without triggering the social prejudices attached to rural poverty. Once the kitchen was running, the scent of fresh cooking drifted out into the street. Neighbors, who were still completely cut off by the nationwide strike, began showing up at their door, asking how they managed to cook. Gauri didn't stop with her own household. Over the next few days, she began digging pits and setting up identical biogas systems in the backyards of the surrounding homes, scaling her solution across the community. While the rest of the massive urban infrastructure remained broken due to the strike, this single block of houses was thriving, cooking daily meals entirely off the grid. Large centralized supply chains are highly efficient until a single link breaks. Decentralized, community-level systems distribute the risk, making a neighborhood far more capable of surviving a crisis. Seeing the entire street fed by Gauri's work, her mother-in-law finally apologized. She realized her strict adherence to what looked modern had nearly caused her own granddaughter to starve. The family had dismissed Gauri as an uneducated village girl. Instead, her practical understanding of biology and local resources made her the only person capable of saving them. Advancing as a society does not require a complete rejection of where we came from. Traditional knowledge, earned over thousands of years of survival, holds real value when applied correctly. True modernity integrates ancestral logic with contemporary tools. Engineering foundational wisdom for the challenges of the future creates the ultimate form of resilience.